February the 20th, 2026. Guys, we've got information coming in, not just from the U.S., but from other nations about what appears to be an imminent attack on Iran. Now, we've got two aircraft carrier groups there now with all the jets, the refueling bombers, or the refueling tankers, and pretty much assets in the Mediterranean and in the Persian Gulf area, all the way back to Diego Garcia. Now, Poland put out a report this morning, and they're telling all of their citizens that are in Iran, for whatever reasons, to get out now before it's too late. They don't want them trapped like they were back in 2003. And so that was Iraq, not Iran. But again, they are saying that there's really no way for them to come into that conflict zone and get you out. Now, that's going to probably be coming from multiple embassies around the world in the next probably few hours. So what we're seeing is we've got two aircraft carrier groups that has advanced stealth fighters, refueling tankers, and layered missile defenses. As multiple U.S. and Israeli reports warn President Donald Trump could authorize strikes on Iran as soon as Saturday, with talks described by American officials as very far apart. And it looks like the explosions that we saw a couple of days ago, I did a video and a lot of people had different images up of. It looks like we were softening up, or someone was softening up some of Iran's military bases because the strikes were hitting in those areas, and military type warehouses and probably housing for military. But whatever was happening, it looked like it was softening up the battle area. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, senior U.S. officials told CBS News that the military is prepared to launch strikes this weekend if ordered, with one official describing planning conversations as fluid but indicating forces are in place. What they're analyzing. And you got different media outlets starting to talk about this, saying behind the scenes, Trump convened top national security advisors in the Situation Room on Wednesday. This was according to Reuters, as the Pentagon finalized positioning across the region. Air campaign assets flow into the theater. Now, I mentioned this in the video a couple of days ago when they were softening up that area, is the fact that there's a lot more assets in place than it was when they simply took out that area in Iran that was the big nuclear underground bunkers a few months back. And there's a lot more assets there now. Is that either to have a much bigger conflict with just Iran, or is it because dealing with the Middle East in these times, just think about what I'm saying, you've got a lot of people that have very similar religions and ideas, things like that. And if they're also looking at it as some type of end time event, there may be a lot more than just Iran to worry about. Now, the UK has lost their mind, not the people, but the politicians. But and of course, Israel more than likely try to take up for Big Brother, because really, if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have been there very long at all. But so we don't know what's going to happen. I also have seen reports, and they look validated, that China and Russia both have military assets that have been moved into the areas. And as a matter of fact, it was naval assets. So I don't know. But again, Trump and Hegseth is preparing for multiple fronts. Again, a lot of military in the Mediterranean, a lot of naval assets there, because you've got Israeli ports that are friendly, and then Persian Gulf, Diego Garcia. And then when you've got the bombers, the big tankers that look like bombers, refueling these stealth fighters, it's going to be hell to pay. And it's not just of course they've been getting assets in there. But they've also been gathering intelligence, and they know where everyone's at, more than likely. It's, probably 90%. And so it would be probably real strategic and fast unless it becomes a multiple nation World War III situation. And the scale of the buildup represents the most formidable U.S. military posture in the Middle East in over 20 years. 2003, Iraq. Media has reported Wednesday night that Washington is assembling the greatest amount of air power in the region since, again, Iraq, including additional F-35s, F-22 stealth fighters, F-15s, and F-16s, airborne command and control aircraft, and dozens of refueling tankers essential for a sustained campaign. Think about it. And we also have, as we saw in the video a couple of days ago, I showed a map of a lot of U.S. military aircraft coming out of England. And of course, the UK hates that, but they may not want to get slapped down by the U.S. military if they try to interfere there. I don't know. They have some pretty weak leaders. UK does. Fine people, and they've just been overrun. Starts with taking your protection, then opening borders, ruining the schools. And I'm talking about every nation on the planet almost, including the U.S. Second Carrier Strike Group, led by the USS Gerald R. Ford, is moving toward the Mediterranean to join the USS Abraham Lincoln, which is already operating in the broader region. Destroyers capable of intercepting ballistic missiles are accompanying both groups. Again, a very large buildup. Now, they're going to be coming out of bases, UK, and it says here Jordan and Saudi Arabia. According to flight tracking data and defense reporting from the war zone, additional fighter squadrons have flown into bases in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, while aerial refueling bridges have been established through Europe to sustain operations. Very well planned. We have a real someone with a military mind's in charge now. They're not wearing high heels. Anyway, guys, if you think about that, we've got bases in Jordan and Saudi Arabia. The other bases the U.S. has there, our son, who was in the Air Force for 7 years, did 2 tours there. I think one was Qatar and one just north of there. But we have multiple bases in the area. The problem will be after the attack starts, depending on how it's handled, there's going to be blowback on Saudi Arabia, on Jordan, on the UAE, from, let me say it like this, the other local nations in the Middle East. So, and it's going to be like almost a jihad against those guys if they sustain the ability to let other nations attack the Brotherhood. Really don't know how to put it any other way. That may be another reason why we got multiple carrier groups, things like that. This is not top secret information, by the way. But here's a map. And it's titled at the top, U.S. increases military presence in region against Iran despite negotiation process, which they're saying is going nowhere. All we're seeing is, again, they shut down the straits the other day and all of that. So it's more posturing than it is trying to get a peace deal. But you got, they're showing the aircraft carriers, U.S. Abraham Lincoln and Gerald R. Ford. And these are coming into right here, guys. This is Syria. This is Israel right there. And so you've got a quick flyover of Iraq from here to Iran. Tehran's right up in this area there. Now you've got the Abraham Lincoln here. You got the Michael Murphy, the Spruance, the USS McFall, USS Michener, USS Frank E. Patterson. You got attack submarines, guided cruisers, the Arleigh Burke class destroyers. So look over here, U.S. Lincoln Aircraft Carrier Air Wing, F-18 Hornets, EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft, E-2D Hawkeye early warning aircraft. Wow, this is how you position if you're going to do this. CMV 2B Ospreys, the folded wings. I mean, the props can let them do vertical landings. You've got M160RS attack helicopters. Patriot systems were mounted on the M98-3 heavy expanded mobility tactical trucks at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. They're going to be able to see anything coming back and forth. That's one of the bases our son was at. He came out of Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. Anyway, MQ-9 Reaper unmanned aerial vehicles are operating at Al Rafah Air Base in the United Arab Emirates. And the UAE was not real happy about these attacks. So, again, and I'm sure that the military intelligence group, they're very much aware of this than we are, of the blowback from the other nations on this conflict. And I wish, to be honest with you, that Iran would settle down, quit attacking the Christians, or anybody that doesn't like or even dares to mention problems with the politicians there, and we bring these assets back here. But I guess, in a way, that's not thinking very broadly, because there's a lot of people that this type of operation controls. Let me say it like that. In other words, they see this, they're thinking, maybe we just need to leave the U.S. alone. We'll play over here with some of these other countries, but we might ought to leave these guys alone. We already see what they can do. They can come in and take out your nuclear fields. They can drop in and pull Maduro and his wife out in the middle of the night. And again, like I said, rumors are that Ayatollah and his group have evacuated. That's because they're cowards. They want to massacre their own people. They want to start a world conflict, and they want to run and hide and let the people suffer. Back in the old days, guys, you've seen where the leaders led the military. Washington, remember that? Remember going back into Rome and Greece and Israel and Canaan, all those areas. The leaders led the battle. If they were going to start it, they were going to be in it. That's the problem now that we have. They'll all of them, every world leader here, everywhere else, will sit back in comfort, watching from a screen, and do things like this. And Iran is threatening nuclear weapons, and that's a big deal. You don't want that hanging over your head, and there may be other reasons, but that's the kind of the mainstream talking points. That they're rebuilding their nuclear capabilities. They probably have nuclear-capable missiles all over Iran. Look at the size of this thing, of Iran. It's bigger than Saudi Arabia. Check that out. And it's mountainous, desert, all kind of terrain. And there could be thousands of missiles we would never know about. That's why they're setting up in Qatar and the UAE and Saudi Arabia, because they know there's a lot there. If just in Iran, if they decide to go ahead and just pull a full martyrdom war. But I just want to come in for a little bit, guys, and talk about this, because, again, Trump has not bluffed about any of these situations yet. We've seen them delayed a couple days. We saw some softening up of critical areas a few days ago. And then no one is really taking credit for that. Iran saying it was grass fires. The U.S. has said nothing, which is smart. We're watching this, guys, at any moment. Again, they're several hours ahead of us. So their Saturday morning is tonight here. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.